Direct from Television City in Los Angeles, in color, this is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite and Eric Severide in Los Angeles, Dan Rather in Washington, Marvin Kalb in Washington, Stephen Rowan in Washington, Ike Pappas in Kent, Ohio, George Sievertson in Cambodia, Nelson Benton in Clayton, Alabama, and Paul Moyer in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Good evening. The constitutional question over American intervention in neutralist Cambodia led to top-level congressional meetings at the White House today, and we have a report from Dan Rather.
The President has spent more than 3 hours today briefing 2 sets of congressional committees. Late this evening, he had in the hostile Senate Foreign Relations Committee and its counterpart in the House, the Foreign Affairs Committee. This morning, Mr. Nixon had to the White House the generally friendlier Armed Services Committees of both houses. But judging from what was said by those who attended when they came out, even the Armed Services Committees are divided.
This is indeed a situation that, judged by any objective military standard, is aimed at saving American lives, at reducing American casualties, and hastening the day when the entire responsibility for the ground fighting can be turned over to the South Vietnamese. I think it was necessary to deny the enemy the logistical support necessary to mount main force engagements against the South Vietnamese and against the Americans.
This tragic war is dividing America and tearing our country apart bit by bit, piece by piece, and person by person. I don't think Cambodia is worth it. That's too high a price to pay. I cannot support sending our young men into Cambodia.
The day of long briefings doesn't seem to have changed any minds on either side. What all the talk appears to have amounted to on both sides is, as one congressional staffer described it, a dialogue of the deaf. Dan Rather, CBS News, the White House.
The President's decision to go into Cambodia was made despite the opposition of 2 of his key cabinet members. That story from CBS News diplomatic correspondent Marvin Kalb.
Both Secretary of State Rogers and Secretary of Defense Laird opposed the use of American ground forces in Cambodia. Rogers moderately, Laird strongly. Both were overruled by President Nixon, who, in the fateful days before his final decision, leaned more and more heavily upon the advice of Attorney General John Mitchell, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and a small group of political advisors. Part of the original plan included the use of American ground forces against a major communist sanctuary in the tri-border area of Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. That would have meant U.S. troops in Laos, too. Another part of the plan, according to congressional sources, was an amphibious attack against the Cambodian port of Sihanoukville, which the communists have been using for many years to supply their forces in South Vietnam. The move into Laos and the amphibious attack have both been temporarily scrapped because of the political and domestic uproar produced by the more limited move into Cambodia. A major worry here now is what happens if the Lon Nol government in Phnom Penh collapses under mounting communist pressure. Will President Nixon feel it necessary to move to save that government? No one at this point knows the answer. Marvin Kalb, CBS News, the State Department.
The White House reported yesterday that a series of air raids against North Vietnam, 3 in all, had been completed. But today it was learned by correspondent Rather that there was a 4th airstrike involving scores of planes that was unknown to President Nixon. His aides had no explanation for that oversight.